From nuclear engineer to a big old exit. Today we're talking about a framework that I've used. The 3P framework. People, purpose, process. To build businesses, to launch businesses, to scale businesses, and in fact, even friends, to exit businesses. So if we haven't met, my name is Andy Smith, longtime venture builder, entrepreneur, business builder, and been doing this about 20 years. So today I want to take you into a unique framework that has been tried and true with the big companies. And I'm going to tell you it even works on the small companies. And so small and medium-sized business leaders, this one is for you. The 3P framework, starting with people, leading into purpose, and then putting in the right processes. So in our first business, I learned, without knowing it, the power of people because I had an amazing co-founder. And that was the catalyst for success because with an amazing co-founder, you can move mountains. With an amazing team, you can move mountains. But with the wrong co-founder, the wrong team, the wrong partners, things get crazy. And so the power of people, starting with the right people, the who you get around you is so critically important. So here's a lesson that I've learned, and it took me until this past year to really see it come to fruition and maybe say even really sink in, but it's the power of picking the right person and being patient to find that person. So they'll say there's 8 billion people in this world. Well, in that 8 billion people from all over the world, there's someone who complements your blind spots. There's someone who needs your superpowers. There's someone who has a different set of superpowers than you do. I have found that when you can combine those two ingredients, people who complement one another, maybe it's a technical co-founder partnered up with a commercial co-founder. That's been the story of my life. Maybe it's a business development sales stud partnered with just someone who understands systems and processes. I forget how you call it, but there's the whole visionary and executioner, or there's a whole playbook around this in the market, but it's finding the people who complement you. And I can't remember what that's called, but if you can remember, let me know. So get the right people around you. And then, and only then, do I think it's important to move to step 2, purpose. This is the reason you're in existence. This is the reason you're building businesses. This is the reason you're taking that idea and turning it into something that's going to flourish. This is how you're taking that idea and taking it from zero to hero. This is how you're going to take that idea and create infinite impact in a world that needs it more than ever before. And you're going to do that through building a business, because I found you can create infinite impact through building a business. But you got to have a big old purpose, because ultimately, once you get some employees, you've got to align those employees around the golden thread. So what does that mean? Your vision, your purpose, your why has to translate down to each and every single employee. And the reason is because they've got to feel that from the leader. They've got to understand they're working for a culture that accepts, requires, and expects a certain thing. And that golden thread allows efficiency, it allows communication, it allows speed to be able to move through the organization. Ideas can go from any employee up to the top and from the top down to the bottom because you've got a golden thread aligned. But that purpose is the why that everybody shows up every single day to make an impact for your business, for your team, for your entity, for your department, whatever it is that you're part of. So it's getting the purpose, making sure everyone understands it, knows it, believes it, and then reinforcing that communication day in, day out. Now, number 3 is processes. Processes are the things that you put in place in your business to allow you to scale. So you've got the right people, you've got the right purpose that everyone is fighting for. Now you've got to get the right processes in place, because without processes, it is a chaotic mess to try to take anything from one person and grow. You simply cannot scale with one person. One person is relying on themselves and relying on themselves to be the multiplier, and that simply doesn't allow you. The systems, the processes, the technology stack nowadays that you put in place in your company are the things that will take you from where you are to where you ultimately want to be. Now, if you're looking to exit your business, I can tell you a story. When we exited our very first business, 2012, we were not looking to sell. Two buyers came in looking to acquire the business. And because we were not looking to sell, we had essentially assembled a conglomerate of a holdco, the brand, and then 7 subsidiary companies under the holdco that all fed the brand in a different way. So for example, think manufacturing company, think management company, think service company, think controls company, think real estate piece. We had all these things under one big holding co, and each one operated somewhat autonomously and were led by different people. That's fine. The problem was we didn't have the systems in place to collectively align them all into one entity, which was to be sold. So it took us 9 months. It took us forensic accountants coming into the business to help us unwind the entire gong show that was created. Very profitable gong show, but gong show that was a mess. We had to unwind that thing. It took all kinds of forensic accountants to get the thing where it looked like one entity, one brand, one company to be acquired. And it took us 9 months. And so you can imagine that 9 months is 9 months you're not spending with the customer. 9 months you're spending with internal systems and processes. And if we would have put that in day 1, day 10, day 100 even, we would have been so much further along because we just didn't know. We didn't know. We weren't prepared to exit. We didn't realize it was a thing. And then I'll tell you, number 2, after I exited that business, we acquired a business. When we acquired that business, step 1 was putting in the right processes because we had the people, we had the purpose. Now let's put in the process. And so when we were putting in the processes, we went to sell that business right around 2020, and we exited that business in 3 months. So we took out 6 months of root canal time because we had the right processes in place. Now, lesson learned, young venture builder, it can be young or old, but if you're starting your business, if your business is young, don't start with the process. People will say that's playing house. Now you're putting in systems and processes and technology even these days, and you don't have a purpose and you ain't got the people. Word of caution, get these in order. Case in point, nowadays, pivoted back 2025, been through several chapters of my journey, some amazing exits, some absolute dumpster fires. They can all be equated back to people, purpose, process. We might have had the right purpose, maybe even understood the processes, but when we had the wrong people, dumpster fire. When you got the right people, then get the people around a big old purpose, put in the processes, you will move mountains. Now, it's not just about us as the leaders. It's about your employees, because now down the road, you're going to start scaling and growing. Despite what everyone will say that technology and AI is going to take over the world, I think people are still going to be an important, critical component to every business that's launched. So when you start to scale, you're going to have to add people. People need to come in and have the right people. What I've learned is there are so many gifted people. Make sure you're patient in your hiring process. Make sure you're bringing in others to interview the people. Make sure you're reviewing backgrounds. Make sure you're doing everything you can to understand what drives that person, how they operate, what Enneagram, what personality they are, so that you can make sure they're the right fit for that right seat on the bus, right? That's the whole analogy with employees. Are they the right person for that job? Cycle through until you get the right person. I have seen this done masterfully with an organization I'm involved with now, who we patiently waited for the right person for the right role. We cycled through tens of interviews, hundreds of conversations, hundreds of outreach. And it's painful and you got to go through it. And it's part of it, because when you get the right person finally out of the end of that funnel, it makes the venture, makes the role, makes the opportunity beautiful. And so be patient, take all of the lessons that I've learned and realize that I've made just about every mistake there is out there, and you don't have to if you can learn from others. Start with the people, wrap them around a big old purpose, put in the processes, and whether you're launching, scaling, or exiting, you will flourish, friends. Thank you for being here. Look forward to talking to you soon. Again, Andy Smith, Life on all social platforms.